Good morning. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene. And today we're talking about
side quests.
side quests.
Yes.
Which, if you look up on Google, it gives you all these RPG side quests. And now I understand what my son is talking about when him and Alan are playing, what is it?
DDO. Dungeons and Dragons Online.
Because he always goes, oh, we got to talk to this person before we can get that quest.
Yeah, you're right. When you look up side quests, computer.
I didn't look up computer.
No, but computer pops up all the time.
RPGs, yeah.
Computer game quests comes up all the time. Well, because there is a main, in a computer game, there is a goal, the overarching campaign, if you will. And then there's all these little things that you can do. Some people like doing them, some people don't.
Well, because I never really heard the term until recently, side quests for tabletop RPGs. They used to call them something different.
I don't remember what I don't think they even called it.
They didn't have a name for it, but then I started hearing it.
Probably stems from the computer RPG.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying.
Instead of the other way around. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I ever referred to them as side quests. I don't think I ever referred to them as side quests until, within the last 20 years, so. If at all. Well, most of my campaigns are all side quests. I don't usually run a big, huge campaign with an overarching storyline. I think the last one I probably did was
Storm King's Thunder.
Right. And in a Shadowrun game, there's usually a main adventure. But I only run adventures. I don't really run campaigns.
So what I think of as a side quest is what you used to do with the kids all the time. Alan liked to go fishing in character. That was his thing.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of a side quest.
Well, the thing was that that's the closest thing I could come up with as a side quest, because when we would get into a town, you would say, you have 2 days to do whatever you want. And then they would tell you, Ian would say, oh, I want to go and find the magic person to make me this, or put something into my armor that I found. And Alan would go, I want to go fishing. And Augustine would go along with him or go and buy a new axe or something.
I probably a little bit more than that would be a side quest, because, for example, in Storm King's Thunder, there was a little bit of a side quest, sort of, when I think one of the players' character looked like a criminal.
Oh, yeah.
And then you guys it could have been like you guys could have gone after the actual criminal. I think it was a dwarf, right?
Yes, it was.
Dwarf or something, the red or something.
Yeah.
And Augustine was a dwarf, I believe.
And they looked incredibly alike.
Right. And so the side quest could have been you guys go after him and bring him to justice.
We did run into him.
You did run into him, but you didn't go chase him down.
No.
Because you guys didn't fight on that side quest.
Yeah.
You know, and Storm King's Thunder is filled with those kind of things, right? There's an overarching thing about the giants, something happening with the giants and dragons, something, right, going on. But there's all kinds of things in there about this dragon's here. There's a problem over here. There's that guy with the criminal dwarf who looks like one of the player characters. So those would be side quests, and a lot of times you guys didn't nibble on them. Every once in a while you did.
We all stayed on task.
Yes, you guys. It was a very short campaign of Storm King's Thunder when it could have been.
It could have taken us a year if we would have.
Literally years. But I was very task orientated.
Well, and some of us were like, okay, we got to do this. This is the mission. Let's go.
Yeah, you get that. Some of you are task oriented. So, okay. So now that we discovered what a side quest is, why do you want to include them in a tabletop role playing game? Now we know in computer games, they're the bulk of the game.
And in computer games, they're how you get stuff to go on the other quests, right? Or there's different kinds. You're gonna get this at the end of this little side quest. And when I was reading about it, they were saying that for tabletop RPGs, a side quest can be one of the things that you can do is have there be something they need at the end of it, like a special thing to go on with the bigger quest.
Yeah, that's somewhere in my list here. So I have them numbered. You don't have to.
Of course, he has them numbered.
Just take them in order here. Take a break from the long goal.
And that's what I was talking about the fishing thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you did that thing where you gave us time to do whatever we wanted, and the kids really liked that and they enjoyed it. It stimulated in them role-playing stuff, right? They could go and they could talk to people on their own, and it didn't have anything to do with exactly what we were doing. And that was one of the things that I read too, is that if you're going to do side quests, that's what you want to do, is give your players a chance to relax and not be task oriented.
I think the difference between what I did there and a side quest is usually the side quest is the GM comes up with this idea, right? Like I didn't come up with the idea, you should go fishing. No, he did it because he wanted to, because he was a little kid and wanted to go fishing. And I mean, the player, not the character. And he thought it was funny and fun and stuff, and wanted to test out his survival skill. I forget what skill I used. I think it was Pathfinder.
Yes, it was.
And then by the time we started playing 5th edition, they were older. I don't know if he still did that, but I know for a fact in Pathfinder he definitely did that. And you're right, but I don't think that's officially a side quest. A side quest is something that the GM offers as an avenue for adventure, other than the pertaining to the main goal or the overarching story line of the campaign. So when I say, you can take a break, you're right. Maybe that was a self-imposed quest by the player or the players when I give them free time. Mainly I give them free time just to, usually to heal up, but also to spend some money and maybe come up with stuff that they wanted to get, or like special things they might want to equip their characters with. And they did other things. Sometimes they just kind of wandered off. You're right that everybody had their own little niche of, we have 2 or 3 days. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go talk to Elminster or whatever it was, wherever they were. And I mean, they did sort of turn out like side quests, very tiny ones.
Especially with the talking to Elminster.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just don't go talking to Elminster. And, they were usually very disappointed, but hey, you just don't show up on his doorstep unannounced. So another thing, taking a break, that was kind of taking a break from the main campaign. A little time to just take it easy, help an innkeeper kill rats. Oh, you can do that, no problem. Okay, bada bing, bada boom. But maybe something might come out of it, right? Another thing is world building. You could world build through side quests. Instead of giving your players an information dump of like 30 minutes of you talking ad nauseum about your world, you give them a side quest that takes them to certain places, introduces them to different types of people. And if you're playing in your own world, this is a great way to introduce players to information that they're not going to read. Like you can give them 10 pages of your world, and as fascinating writing that may be, I'm going to say 95%, and I might be giving it too high, too low of a percentage, but about 95% are not even going to read it, not even going to look at it. so all that information that you used, you came up with, doesn't do anything. So you have a side quest for somewhere in the mountains. So then they discover a little about what the mountains are like, what lives in the mountains, what kind of creatures are in the mountains, and what people are in the mountains or in the swamp or wherever you want to. You have an exposition of information, and you do that by playing, which for me as a player, I'd rather do that than sit there and listen to a 30-minute lecture about your world.
Okay.
I think it's an interesting idea. Let the PCs gain, this is what you're talking about, is let the PCs gain experience for to get to a higher level, or they get an item along the way that's going to help them in the main quest.
And that idea comes from the idea that these are first level characters, right? So that
or lower level characters.
Okay, lower level characters. So when they get into town and the innkeeper needs them to kill a bunch of rats, they can get the experience for that, right? To help them out.
The experience, yeah.
And
maybe he gives you some reward, like, here's I don't know, here's a scabbard that has some jewels on it. You might want to use it. I have no use for it. And it turns out that maybe that's maybe a possible magical item.
And I think magical items are good goals for the end of a side quest if it's because players like that, right? Not and Saul doesn't like to give out magical items.
Oh, that's not
Some
true.
people have lots of magical items. He just gives out cursed magical items.
That is not true. I give you, you guys are loaded with stuff. But what I'm saying is maybe give them something at a lower level that may or may not seem magical. And if it's magical or might be worth something, either way. But later down the line, it turns out that it is something that is very
Right.
crucial to your goal.
So would that really be a side quest if it's crucial to your goal?
Oh, you could just give it to them, right? They could just have it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, your father had this scabbard, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, and forgo the side quest. Let's see. I got number 4. Let the players feel they've accomplished something, especially in the long-running campaign. Now, this may or may not happen to players, but some players like to have something done on their plate, right? Like, I've been in a campaign where we were looking for pieces of a staff, right? This is ages ago. And I don't know who it was. I don't remember who it was, but it wasn't me. But I was talking to another player. I mean, I was 14. I didn't. But the person who was complaining, not really complaining, but talking, said, he goes, we always get this part of the staff, but there's always something else we have to do. It's like we never finished anything. I'm like, oh. And it bothered him, but he didn't say anything. And so years later, I still remember this. And so there might be some players that in a long campaign, they don't feel any sense of accomplishment because nothing gets done, right? You don't have the 9 pieces of staff. We're only on piece 3. Oh. But you know that kind of stuff. So, but when you have a short little side quest and you finish it, and you can see the fruits of your labor by the people celebrating. Oh, thank you for getting rid of the goblin warband that was plaguing our farms, or whatever, or getting the rat infest. Oh, thank you, and then everybody at the end celebrates you by buying you drinks. You might feel some sense of
Like you accomplished something.
right. And I only mentioned that because of that one incident years ago, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that feel that way. That, man, it seems like we never finish anything. We never get stuff done. It's just we're always there looking for that extra piece of the staff.
I can see that.
Yeah. Did you feel that way at Storm King's Thunder?
No.
No. We're so busy. That was ridiculous. No time to think. That's another one. You just keep giving them stuff to do, and they don't got time to worry about what they can't do.
I would find that a very interesting idea because usually when we play a game, whether it's a campaign or not, there's always the idea that you don't want there to be too much downtime. I mean, and downtime by the players having to work to try to get something, right? You don't want it to be boring for them.
Oh, yeah. That's not downtime. That's just slogging through the adventure.
Well, that's what if you're trying to find the pieces of the staff and it takes you forever to find them.
Oh.
It's like it's gonna hurt them in a way, like make the party not as happy and that kind of thing. Versus,
Well, like I said, I hadn't really thought of it that way until that person talked to me and mentioned it. I mean, he wasn't really griping. He goes, it seems like we never get anything done. Or what? I'm like, yeah, you're right, because we would literally just, there was no side quest. We just went, well, this is where where we think the next piece of staff is. Let's go there. And, okay, we got it. Let's go to the next place. And so we were, I don't know if it was railroady the problem or whatever, but I didn't have that problem. I was
were the ninjas ever sent in to entertain you?
no, it was D&D, so there's no ninjas, no D&D ninjas either.
It was a written adventure, probably. Where
no,
you
I
had
don't
to
think
find
so.
this.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, it was. I'm sure they got the idea from somewhere. I don't know where they got it, but it was. For me, it was entertaining when I played it, and I had a lot of fun. And everybody who has ever mentioned it has said, "Oh, it was one of the best games they've ever played in." Now, this is when we were still at the Scout House, so we were very young, and I thought it was fun. I mean, like, I think the problem I had was I would sometimes go away for the summer right? And that's when the bulk of the adventure happened one summer, because we started kind of like in the spring, and we played, and then I left and I came back. It might have been over within like 8 months.
So you missed most of it. So,
I missed a good
so you didn't
2
have
months.
a chance to get.
So I didn't
You
get
didn't have
that.
that
I
feeling.
didn't get that feeling. So I was just like, oh wow, we're playing D&D.
That's how you are every game you play.
I am pretty excited about everything there, right?
That's an interesting idea, to give them something to do to help them to feel like they've accomplished something.
Right, have a sense of
Because
accomplishment.
everybody wants to tick off a box.
Yeah, and I think that's just, maybe it's just part of his personality. I don't know. So the next thing I have is a side quest can be very different from the big overarching quest.
So if you're going after the big bad guy, trying to figure out where he is.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this side quest that's a little funny, or a little mystery, or a little solve a crime.
Yeah.
Pace of the game is different. The feeling of the game, of the adventure, is different. It's just a different vibe, if I can even use that term. This weird feeling, other different than the big campaign.
So is a side quest kind of like a one-shot game?
Yeah, even a mini one shot, right? It could take place. It could take.
Because I was going to say, then we play mostly side quests.
That's what I'm saying. I don't usually run a big overarching game.
I never considered it a side quest, but I can see how if there is a campaign that going off to find something for a chef or something could be considered a side quest,
Yes,
which you have had us do.
I don't remember the shift.
Something about a chef, and we had to go find some ingredients for his soup or something. I don't remember.
I think that was somebody else's game.
No.
That was mine? Mm-hmm. Wow, I don't remember that. Yeah, that might have been in Storm King's Thunder or something. Oh yeah, I do remember. I don't remember what game it was. But you're right. Actually, I have run quite a few campaigns for you and the kids. So I ran Storm King's Thunder. I ran the To the King one, and before that, that was just a regular a muspage of different adventures. So 2 campaigns that you guys have played in. Mm-hmm. And in the Shadowrun, I had sort of a campaign.
But they want to change their characters because they like making characters so much.
You know. Well, half of you. Well, no, not less than half of you. No, half of you have made new characters.
Alan didn't make a new character this time.
You didn't. So 4.
I didn't, and Kathy didn't.
So just Augustine and
Augustine, Ian, and Ian helped Steve do something to his character.
yeah, I think he's still the same character.
Yeah, but he
just what do you call it? Level them up. All right, so now there's all these side quests. So what kind of side quests? We kind of touched on them. What kind of side quests are there? I made this list really, really simple. Get something. You've been charged with getting something, an item.
I lost my ring.
You're right. Somebody stole something. Go get it. Right. And this could be a long side quest, right?
I lost my child.
That's terrible. Kidnapping. That's terrible. But yes, it's something. Could be a person, and it could be a long one, right? Because they could run away.
Someone stole my cow.
Or something could be as simple as that. Okay, who is it? Oh, Barney, my neighbor over. Okay, hey Barney, come back. A cow would kill you. Okay, here you go. I mean, it could be that short, or it could be very elaborate. Like they took something and now they're in a different land, or you have no idea who took it.
Goblin hordes are a good side quest always because there's goblins terrorizing
Let's
the
not get
countryside.
something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's not get.
Sorry,
Unless
I
the
thought
goblin
of
horde
it.
stole something.
Well, that's what they usually do, don't they?
Well, they usually pillage and burn, but yeah, who knows?
They stole the pigs.
So I mean, the side quest can be very long or very short, but this one can be get something is very, very, very variable to say.
It could be something from someone's safe, or it
could be you gotta go
someone's
across
dog.
Town. It could be across town.
Oh.
Convince somebody to give somebody something back, and then the person goes, "No, it's mine because back in then 20, 30 years ago, my dad made this, and he made it for such and such, but they never paid for it, so actually it's mine now. It's super valuable."
Now that I think about it, you've sent us on lots of side quests. I don't know if they were really side quests, but it was part of the adventure because I remember we got to some town, and I think it was Storm King's Thunder, where we had to go and some merchant asked to do whatever we wanted. Some merchant asked us to go and pick up some goods at this place, but I don't know that they were actually his goods because Ian made the deal, right, with them, and so it was all kind of shady, and we did it, but I think that would be considered a side
Yes,
because we wanted something, but we had to do something to do it.
Yeah, I think that was
a get something quest. It turned out very interesting because we had to kill people because they didn't want to give us the goods.
wow. I don't remember that, but it was a long time ago, and I run a lot of games. B, you ended up killing somebody. B, kill somebody or something. You got to go out and get rid of this guy.
In D&D, it's usually a monster, right? Or
even
goblins,
Shadowrun.
Or yeah. Shadowrun is usually a person or a corporation coming after you that you have to get rid of.
So, I mean, this one's, you may or may not want to deal with assassination, but there's some people need killing. It's a great line from some movie.
Well, in D&D, a lot of times those kind of quests are what I was talking about. The goblins, there's a den of goblins somewhere that's terrorizing the community. And
you could talk to them, convince them to move away.
We always try that. Our negotiation skills aren't always the best, though.
I don't remember you guys trying that all the time.
Well, I try to try it, but sometimes the boys go in first.
C, for me, would be solve a mystery.
Solve a mystery.
I mean, something happened in the town you're in. Something got stolen. Somebody got killed. Something weird happened. Boom, you're like the weirdest guys around here. And it kind of happened when you were here, so it's kind of your responsibility.
We did that. We had some mystery game where someone got killed, and it was a D&D mystery game. It was very interesting. All of these people that have weapons all over themselves and running around and look scary, trying to figure out who killed somebody.
I don't remember that either. Run a lot of games. Escort. This is a real good one. A lot of times, caravan duty. A lot of times, this is usually you need to go somewhere far away. You get on a caravan and go for protection, right? Even though most parties of D&D don't need protection, but there's safety in numbers, right?
When you were talking about that one,
You start laughing.
I started laughing because I read, or I don't remember if I read it or was watching YouTube, but somebody was saying that you should make the person that you're escorting really likely to kill themselves somehow. Like, they run off all the time and get into trouble. And you're supposed to keep them alive to get them from point A to point B. And I thought that was interesting that if you had to escort somebody, they were not cooperating so much. That would be a very good side quest.
I remember it was Chris's friends, Vaughn and those guys. They were now there wasn't a side quest, but it was keep somebody alive. I don't know if they were escorting them, but they had a baby. It was a Japanese themed fantasy game, right? So they're all it's like samurais or ronin or whatever. And one of the that is prop. I forget what it was exactly, but it was this like, I think it was a ball wrapped up in towels to make it look like a swaddled something, and somebody always had to have it, like the actual player. So they were always like passing this ball or football. I think it was a football wrapped in towels, and then they go. So whoever had the baby
couldn't do anything,
right? Well, I mean, he goes, I'm going to fight with one arm. Okay, well, you're going to put the baby in danger. He goes, well, so they would make up all these things, but it would make it real difficult for for that person to fight or to throw spells and all this other stuff. Though I don't know if that game had a lot of spells throwing. And what's funny about that game is that it went through all kinds of iterations of rules, right? Because they started with some sort of, I don't know what it was, but the whole deal is that they had this baby, and in the game they always had to deal with the baby.
I think that's interesting that they had a prop that somebody actually
what was going on, and who had it.
Yeah.
And then of course they would have to give it to nurses every once in a while and stuff, so they would have to stop adventuring and like. I thought it was kind of interesting. Problems with side quests, right? For me, the big two problems that always prop up is they may be railroad because a lot of GMs think, oh, it's small, it's quest orientated, go get it, go do this, right? And there's no room for.
Which, if you're thinking about it, if you are the GM, you should know that if you give people a task, they're not necessarily going to do it the way you want them to.
Oh yeah, that's one of the. I don't know where I read that or we saw some video, but somebody was saying exactly that. Right? You give a players any situation, they're not going to react the way you think they're going to react
Because they're going to think of something that you never thought of.
Right.
So you should always just go with it.
or they're really suspicious and don't want to do something that you might think they want going to do, so they're doing that kind of business. I know you put the poison in this one, so I'm not going to drink that one. But you know that I think you put the poison in that one, so I'm going to drink the other one. But you know that and then it can get
Why
ridiculous.
does he want us to go and find this? Is it a trap?
Yeah. And you're just like, no, it's just another 300 experience points. So railroady, and then too samey. Sometimes if you get stuck in this rut about running side quests, they might be the same side quest, right? Or one time it's the innkeeper who has rats. Another time it's a boarding house that has a ghost problem, and you might run into this. This is the quick and dirty table of side quests, and that could irk some players going, oh no, not again.
Oh my God, why all these side quests? Can't we just play the game?
Yeah, especially if it's the same thing. I think you can't go to the well too often with side quests. And a couple of others is some players may not be too interested in the side quest, right? Like, for example, let's say a good side quest for Alan when he was a kid is there's going to be a fishing competition, right? Where the whole town's going to go and whoever gets the biggest fish gets whatever, a trophy. Well, that would really be interesting side quest for Alan, maybe even Augustine, but Ian wouldn't care about that, right? All right, let's go fishing, and he probably wouldn't even go fishing, right? So I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, this is extreme, but there's some things side quests, especially if it's real niche or real small thing to do. Some player might say, "I'm just gonna stay home. I'm gonna stay in my room, get some rest, read a book." So,
Which is fine.
which is
right?
fine, right? But
But then you're going to split the party.
yeah, and then this player is going to be sitting out for 2 or 3 hours maybe, or however long your side quest goes,
Yeah.
and that's not fun for them. Oh,
Do you have any other downfalls?
I started writing one, but I didn't finish writing it. It's kind of weird. I said side quest might be, and then I didn't write it down. So off the top of my head, I think sometimes
Now he knows what he was doing, right?
side quests might be really interesting to some players, and they might want to deal with this and keep dealing with it and forget about your main quest. Like, who cares about the evil overlord taking over the world? This is really interesting. I really, really like this side quest. And then it's worse if the whole party goes, yeah, that'll wait. And you're like, as a GM going, no, that's it. That's my side quest is over. And they're like, well, and then they want to dive deeper into it, and they get super excited about this side quest and want to explore it more. And you're like, oh wow,
Well, you're the one that gave him the side
yeah,
quest.
that's true. This is my brilliancy. I'm too brilliant for my own self. So this might happen, and either you are an adamant GM and say, well, the quest is over. They don't want your help anymore, or whatever. Or a good GM will keep that quest going because the players are super interested in it. And you got to finagle that quest
back into your
back into your main quest. I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is going to happen too often.
Yeah,
but
usually, like Mike says, you buy into what it is you're going to be playing that day, right? You don't have to take it too seriously just because you want to do this side quest this time, but then you need to get back to the regular,
right?
What you're regularly doing.
Okay, the only time I remember something even vaguely like this happening was I was playing in a con game, and it was Lord of the Rings game. Now, the Lord of the Rings game by Decipher, which was based on the movies, it had all kinds of movie picture content on it, and it was a very rushed game. It was broken left and right, but I thought it was a solid little easy game to play. So we're playing a game, and the GM was a aficionado of all things Tolkien, right?
Mm-hmm.
he had read the Silmarillion and all that crap. So as soon as you know that they read the Silmarillion, you know they're into deep crap about Tolkien.
I don't think you should phrase it that way.
Well, you know you're in for some meta.
They know their stuff.
Meta knowledge drops on you, right? So he starts talking. The GM starts talking about some cave that has some sort of flowers or something in it, and one player, a lady, was also one of those same type of Tolkien fans. Had read the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales and all this other stuff, and she goes, "Oh my God, really?" And so
you went.
I don't
to the
even
cave
know.
Instead of that wasn't.
Yes,
that wasn't
part of that. He just kind of dropped that hint, and so she goes, "Let's go." It's my dream to always see the flowers of such and such cave in bloom, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what about the big bad guy that's killing things and stuff? This orc dude. Oh, we'll get to him later. We never got to him, right? We're exploring the cave, and because this girl was really interested, he's just throwing all kinds of stuff about the cave, about who lived in the cave and who could have lived in the cave, because we didn't know crap. Our characters. And so the player was like, "Oh my God, this was in the second age, blah blah blah," right? To talk about the Valadar and blah. And I'm like going, what about the Uruk-hai guy? He's like terrorizing the village still. Do you want to go over there? Oh no, that can wait. And the girl had convinced. There was only like 4 or 5 of us. Had convinced the other 3 people to go and stay going and stay in the cave. I'm like,
So you didn't have a good time.
It was a good time. It was a good time. What do I say?
You're like going, I don't think this was his adventure that he was going to run for us.
No, but he didn't care because he was so excited that he had a fellow Tolkien fan of that level playing in his game. So they're going on, literally talking to each other, pontificating about events of the second age, of the first age, and they were having this, I don't know, not theological discussion, but more like a anthropological discussion about where or who planted these mushrooms or whatever was flowering, because they glowed in the dark.
Were they special mushrooms?
Yeah, they glowed in the dark, or some flowers that glowed in the dark inside a cave. Honestly, I kind of don't remember much of it because we played a 6 hours, 8 hour time slot, and all I remember is the caves. And we did finally try to go after the orc, but that was at the very end, and we ran out of time.
So that might have been a side quest that went awry.
Well, for
you.
For me, yes. And the GM was very excited to be talking about it. And the other players were like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So in that situation, you're right. I would say 3 out of 5 players had a great time. The remaining 2, we had a decent time. But my sense of accomplishment didn't happen because we never got to get to the big Uruk-hai orc that was terrorizing some place somewhere. So that side quest the GM was more than happy to pontificate about his caves and flowers and caves that glowed and stuff. So that could happen, right?
Yeah.
So I think side quests are pretty important in any game. I think a GM can make them interesting. I think if you know your players, you know their interests, like that fishing competition would have been pretty cool if I had thought about it back then. Did I ever do that? I don't think so. That would have been pretty cool. Hey, you just happened to be here which would have made Alan and maybe Augustine happy, and anybody, all the adults. Ian probably would have went, I'm just going to go and buy some herbs or something.
Well, you could have had something exciting at the fishing competition for him too.
That's true. A murder. Somebody killed the top woman person.
Yeah.
So anyway, that didn't happen. But yes, so side quests can be pretty cool. I think they could be very interesting for players for a multitude of reasons. Especially if you know like I said, if you know your characters, if you know your players, they have like some niche type of interest, then you can like feed that interest and keep them really engaged in the game. Make it really fun for those people who
right.
have like an interest in mystery. If you know, like I know you like mysteries and stuff. If I present with you and Kathy and Steve with a mystery, you guys would eat it up. And maybe the boys or something like that, they would. I remember one time Felipe had this like last man standing competition, like on a step pyramid, and the person who stayed at the top the longest would win. or maybe to the last man. So I remember Dawn and Sip. I got taken out right away, but they were in the competition for a long time. And this Felipe was in that game, and it was just some competition that happened in the middle of town,
Right.
or some town we went into. So I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't think of it as a side quest, but obviously it was. Had nothing to do with our grand scheme. So they could be fun. They could be enlightening. They can give you stuff that you need for their main quest. There's all kinds of reasons why a GM would put a side quest in your game. What do you think?
I think that's true.
Yeah. What else? I said, and it's just there's a change of pace. There's all kinds of things that can happen, but I think just making things, keep things fun, change it up a little bit in a game, no matter what game you're running. You know, we're talking a lot about D&D, but it could be Shadowrun. We're running a lot of Shadowrun, and so Shadowrun can get really deep and heavy. I could run a fun caper or something funny that'll just alleviate all the dark brooding stuff. But you guys don't seem to have a problem with the dark brooding stuff. You guys really enjoy it. So side quest definitely a big part of computer gaming, but also a big part of tabletop role playing games.
There you go. So if you want to do a side quest, hopefully Saul gave you some ideas.
Right.
Have fun. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene.
And you have a good day.